Everyone has a unique editing style. Mohi Visuals has mastered the mix between motion graphics and documentary style editing. In part 1, we worked with the 3D aspect of the reel. This tutorial will cover the second aspect of the reel, focusing on smooth motion and transition. Okay, so we're doing the second part now, and I say we just get straight into it. So this is the part that we're recreating now. You've already seen it, but the first step is creating this fade and the zoom out, and the country's flags kind of rotate, and obviously the writing changes as well. And yeah, the background's pretty nice as well, so we'll try recreate that as well. So I'll get into After Effects, and I'll create a new solid, and I'll call it background, and I'll change the color to something like green. So to do that, I go into the effects and presets, add a fill, and we're going to change the color just to a nice green like that. Don't forget to save the project. And what I'm going to do is duplicate this, and I'm going to make this duplicate a little bit lighter, so something like that, and we're actually going to mask it out. So just for this little mask over here, that's what I'm talking about there. So like that, grabbing the pen tool, making a line like that, and then holding Alt, we're going to curve it out like that. Straight over here, hold Alt again, you kind of want to curve it out back like that, and then curve this out like such. And now we can just go out here, and it doesn't really matter where we go. Like that, we've got our line. If you notice, there's not that much difference in the actual thing, so I'll try to make it a little bit darker and just try to blend it in a little bit more with the original. Yeah, so something like that. I think that's done it perfectly fine. So now we'll just create the text, so the 103 matches at the top. Make sure you're in all caps, typing this in all caps, and enable motion blur as well as 3D. To center the anchor point, Control-Alt-Home, and scale this up quite significantly to center in the screen, proportional grid, and zoom in and just center it like that. Zooming in is just Alt and then scroll wheel. So zoom in, zoom out, just a shortcut there. Can turn it off, and we'll make the fill just a darker red like that. And this will need a stroke, so we'll turn on the stroke, and yeah, just giving it a nice stroke, something like 4. And the darkness of the red needs to increase as well. Now for the font, we will go with Ultra. Just making it nice like that. And the next step would be creating the text at the bottom. So just Control D to duplicate, drag it down, and we'll write FIFA World Cup. This needs to be scaled down quite significantly, so after centering the anchor point, we will scale it down. So just like that, you're pretty much a good way along finishing up the scene. And then we'll just write USA because obviously the venue isn't the same at every single game, is it? And we'll just ignore the logos on the sides. They're not really necessary here. The main part is getting this center part right. So to do that, we're going to grab our rectangle tool and turning the fill on black and the stroke off. We're just going to create a rectangle right here like this. Center the anchor point, obviously. Make it fully black. And make sure this is in the center. So bring it to the center like that. And bringing this to the center. Perfect. Make this 3D, turn on the motion blur. And I'll leave the background not 3D at the moment. I'll show you why in a second, but I'll leave these on just by themselves. Now, there is a text in the center, but that does change every single time, and so do the flags. So I will gather all the flags together and put them in a file for you guys, and then put them in the Discord. So be sure to join the Discord. It's in the description. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the rectangle tool, and we're going to turn our fill onto white, and turn off the stroke. And basically what I'm going to do is just make a square. So if we look at the original, I'm just going to make a square up to about a third of the way across. So something like that. Yep. And then just move it in, centering it, and we'll scale it up by 1, so 1:1, just so that it kind of fills up the screen. And we'll center the anchor point, making it both of them 3D, turning on our motion blur there. And for this one, we'll click P for the position parameters, and we'll just drag it across like such. Now you want to kind of position them so that they're equal distance from the center on both sides. So something like this. Looks good. Now we're going to do the text in the center. So I've only got 16 teams, so that's 8 games. So I'm only going to have to change the text 8 times. But Control D to duplicate this same text because I'm just going to use the same font. Come to the layers and bring it all the way to the top. And we'll go with USA versus and we're going to go with USA versus Belgium. And for the text, we're actually going to go down here to the fills property, and we're going to make it white. Scale this down and center it just like that. I'm not going to bother about the dates because they don't really matter too much, but it's just the extra stuff that you can do if you feel like it. But we'll get the USA flag. And the Belgian flag. And we'll make these 3D and enable motion blur as well. Scale them up as well. Now for the back, we're going to change the fill based on the country that's there. So if this animation were to last, let's say, also just one correction. I was working in advanced 3D. That's why I was kind of wondering why the stroke isn't showing on the text. But you have to be in classic 3D for the stroke to show. But let's say the animation lasted 20th, 30th of a second. So we go to the 20th frame. And that's just because the FPS is 30 FPS. So 20th frame. And we'll cut it. So Control Shift D to cut it. And then this first part would be red, right? It'd be red. And then we'll go to the same part, same part of the timeline, and then cut the other one. And for Belgium, we'll go with the center color, so yellow. Nice. Now we're gonna do that every 20 frames. So that's 10 frames, 20 frames, and we're just gonna keep changing out the flags, changing out the text, and changing out the backgrounds. So I'll show you what I mean here. Oh, actually, we gotta cut these two. So cut the flag out. Cut the flags out. Right. And then change the text. So I think the next game we can do is Argentina, Egypt. So yeah, everything has changed except the top text up here and the bottom texts, as well as the main background. We haven't changed any of those. But changing this has really done as well. Now we're just going to change the fill color over here. So I'll probably make this yellow again, and this one obviously a blue. Just like that. And I'll just do this every 20 frames. So I'll do this 6 more times and I'll just come back after I've done that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the second part. So basically add a camera to this section and have it pan to the right, keeping the background still. And this is basically just going to be a completely different scene to the other one. So what I mean is it's not going to have the same camera. This one's going to have its own camera that moves to the right, and then the other one's just going to have another camera of its own. And that's only because the background kind of stayed the same. Yeah. So add a camera, lay a new camera, and we'll add a null as well. Make it 3D and link the camera to it. And basically when this last frame kind of starts to, starts to come out, you're going to click P for position on the null and make a keyframe there. Go a few seconds ahead, and we're just going to go like this to the right. Because if you look at the main one, it's basically the same thing. The only thing is, the last one, the background of the flag, so that blue thing, it has to be a little bit larger, just because otherwise it's gonna, as you can see, it's gonna show the green background and the black behind it as well. So I'm just gonna try changing that real quick. So going into this one, and then basically just dragging it out, and then bringing it back to where it should be over here, just like that. And you've also got to increase the length of the black layer at the back. So yeah, just like that. I think it's done a pretty solid job. But yeah, we're going back into the null, so the camera keyframes, and we click F9. And for this graph, you want to make it start off slow, so drag this left keyframe across to the right, and then you kind of want to have like a fast center point, you know what I mean? Because at that point, we're actually going to cut it, and it's not going to matter what happens after that because you're not going to see it. It's going to be the new composition that's going to be playing. So I'll just play this back right now. Yeah, that's perfect. Because at this point, so the peak, we're going to add in the new video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this one and call it flags scene. And it will make more sense as I show you the rest of it, but this is going to be its own separate composition, and the next video is going to be its own separate composition, and we're going to join them two together. So for the next scene, we'll just take a look at what it looks like. It's the same stuff, but you'll see Lamine Yamal's arm is kind of moving. So I'll show you how to do that. But first we have to get the photo. And another thing is the camera does blur out that part of the scene there. So yeah, we'll create a new composition, call it Lamine X Messy. And the first step is always adding the background. So I can't actually see the background, but it seems like a stadium, right? So I've inputted our picture here. And what I'm going to do is make it 3D, turn on motion blur, and I'm going to click P for position and push it back in 3D space. So what this is doing is originally, if it was here in 3D space, by adjusting that parameter and pushing it back, I've basically pushed it out that way. Now we'll scale it back up, and this is going to need a levels. So search for levels. I'm going to add levels, and we're going to increase the white and increase the black. And another thing we'll do is decrease the opacity. So click T for opacity and just decrease it. And now if you see, it kind of looks like what we've got there, but we also need to add a tint. So search for your tint. Any regular tint will do fine. And yeah, amount of tint, just a little bit less than 80. So something like that. And yeah, we've got that done pretty well, I think. So I've inputted it here. And for Lamine, you're also going to make him 3D and tick motion blur. The only other thing I would suggest doing is duplicating. And then for the bottom one, we're going to add a fill, leave it red, and then we're going to add that deep glow. And tick this box, required for text. Otherwise, the rest of the screen just goes black. So you always have to tick this box. And now you can see we've got that green outline behind him, which is real good. The only thing I would do is decrease the radius. Otherwise, it kind of starts showing the outline of the actual image. You know what I mean? Like over here, it starts showing what part of the image is cut out. You know what I mean? It doesn't look too good. But yeah, that's basically what we've got. Now we're gonna link the bottom one to the top one, so that if I move the top layer, top YML, then the glow will move with it like that. Simple stuff there. But yeah, scale him up probably, and I'm gonna bring him closer, so like that, -300. So now he's actually closer. So what's happened now is the background's all the way back here, and your me's all the way up here, so that when you do use your camera movement, it's gonna create a really cool 3D effect. But yeah. Now for that hand movement, you're gonna grab the puppet tool. Click on the top one, grab the puppet tool, and you're just gonna start puppeting him like this. What this is doing is essentially creating points in his arm that act as anchors to the rest of his arm. So if you move one point, so like this, it's basically stood still the points that you haven't moved, so they've pinned them there. I'm going to delete the back one, the glow for now, just because puppeting it wasn't working on the back one, but we'll just add it back in straight after. But yeah, you want to create the puppets, You've already got them right. So click U to open up the keyframes and drag the keyframes to the start here. And then go like a few frames forward. And I'm probably just going to adjust the hand here so that it goes like just a bit downwards, and move the forearm with it too. It's not the best image to puppet. You can definitely find better images like the one that they used, but this is just showing you what puppeting does. So now you see the arm slowly move in downwards. So yeah, like that. It's kind of a sus movement, but that's okay. So now I'm gonna add the texts and España. We're gonna add that first. And the position is basically just going to be the same as this one. So copy and paste the negative 300 and kind of put it there. And we're going to give it a gradient ramp. So get this one and then put this on there. Put the top one to a whiter grid. And this bottom one's just going to go a little bit darker red. And we're going to get our deep glow, chuck it on there. And for that glossy look, that's just a bevel alpha. And just increasing the light intensity. So yeah, like that, you've got that nice little look. And for that finalist, you're going to grab the rounded rectangle tool, change the fill to a slight orange, yep, and then just create something like this. Go into the rectangle path and increase the roundness. Take the deep glow from this, paste it on there. Oh, maybe decrease it a little bit, to be honest. Decrease it, and get your text tool and type out finalist. You're gonna make these 3D as well, and turn on motion blur too. Just negative 300 on the z-axis, and then scale this up, center the anchor point, control at home, and basically put it there, back where it should be. You're gonna make the color black, so the fill black. Turn the stroke off for this. We don't need it. And I might just change the font as well, just to a more basic font. So yeah, Orbitron will do well, and I might bold that so it looks a little bit nicer. And we can add that final text if it matters. 1x World Cup winner. Make it 3D. Turn on motion blur and obviously put it to negative 300 in the 3D space. Scale it a bit down, and we will change the fill to a lighter yellow, and then copy and paste our deep glow from here and paste it on there. Yep, now we've got that nice little look. Play this whole thing, it's a nice little look, you know what I mean? But now we're going to add a camera and start the messy scene. So lay a new camera, get our null object up, make it 3D and link it. And I'm going to click P for that position, and we're basically going to watch what this happens here. Yeah, it's a zoom out, and then zoom out to the left a little bit. So I'd say it takes around 3 seconds. We can adjust it later, right? So it doesn't matter. But yeah, get your P, go back, go back. Oh, and the other thing is, see how the background doesn't go anywhere? For that, what you just want to do is scale it way up so that it doesn't disappear, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, Jamal here doesn't have legs, but otherwise we would have had legs. He might have to just be kneeling on the ground when we had the pitch. But yeah, I'm gonna go with negative 3,000 for now. See how that looks, or even negative 6,000. Looks better. And we're gonna come to the right here. Yeah, like the background needs to be scaled up quite a bit. Because yeah, you can see it doesn't go anywhere there. So yeah. Now I'm just gonna select these two, click F9, and we're just gonna slowly, slowly zoom out. Yep, looks solid, looks solid. We'll add the blur later as well, so don't worry about that. So now I basically just import in Messi, and make it 3D. For the position, you want to drag him out quite a bit. I'd say around 5,000, maybe 5,000. And place them over here. And yeah, you can basically just copy all of these. So Control D on the España text, but just changing its position over here to negative 5K. Now we're gonna make this blue. So a nice blue. The Argentina text that we duplicated here. And I'm actually gonna put this behind Messi. So just like that. Yeah, nice. Looks pretty nice there. And just duplicate these two as well. Control D, drag them up. P for position, we're gonna go negative 5K. And basically they should come up here too. And he's been in 2 finals, so finalist #2. Just like so. Duplicate this again. 3x World Cup winner. Control Alt Home to center that anchor point. And we're gonna make the fill white. And copy and paste the deep glow down on for the outline, we're gonna do what we did earlier, but now we can because his hands have been adjusted with the puppets. But yeah, we'll just add a fill first to the bottom layer. So now if I turn this layer off, that's basically all that is. And then just adding a deep glow creates a little rim around it, I guess. And yeah. Just doing the same thing here. Over here. Making the fill a nice little blue. And then adding that deep glow and decreasing our parameters. Make sure to click that button too. Yeah, nice little scene that we've got going on here. And you already know how to add the pitch, but we can do that as well, just for the sake of it. Make it 3D, turn on that motion blur. Scale it up. And if I go back here, I want it to be visible, right? So I'm gonna push that position back, you know what I'm saying? Just like that. And yeah, we'll scale it on that axis right there. But yeah. See, the pitch also gets blurred out. That's for the next part that we're gonna do right here. But what that means is Control X and bring this down just above this. So now it's on that same like kind of level as your mall. So now to add that blur, what you're gonna do is click on this pitch. What that does is the new layer that we create will come just above it. Layer, new adjustment layer. And we're gonna go with a blur, so a fast lens blur. And keyframe the iris scale. Start it at 0. Click U to open up the keyframes. And then over here, we want to go with a figure. Maybe something like 7. And that's just blurring out the background other than the Messi, Argentina, and the 2 ticks, because those are above the adjustment layer, if that kind of makes sense. Because the adjustment layer only affects stuff that's below it. That's why I told you to put that pitch just above the Lamine mouse so that we could put the adjustment layer just above that. And then everything that's involved with Messi stays up and doesn't get affected. So yeah, the next part, there's this little glitchy transition. I'll do a full separate tutorial on transitions, but it's basically just like a preset that you can probably get, or you can use like a curtain overlay, if that kind of makes sense. Similar to the one in the previous video where we made the waves effect using using water. Something like that. But I'll just get started on this part. Looks like a nice little transition here. But even that is just, simple color changes. So I don't think you guys should have a problem with that. So I think I'll just wrap the tutorial up here because the rest of it's just simple stuff that's already been covered. So no point wasting time trying to make that. But yeah, next video will definitely be the Jack Neal one. It's high in demand, and I can tell why, because whoever edits his videos is doing a killer job. But yeah, the next tutorial will be on his intros. So if you want to see that, make sure you stick with us, you know what I'm saying?